All right, you're good, Rich? All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Jab Journals. I'm sitting here with Nick Daniels at Stars and Strikes Gym. Nick, how's training been going?
Training's been going better than ever. It's starting to warm up, so that's when I get my best training in. You definitely don't want to fight me during the summer. So.
Yeah. Don't like the cold, huh?
Yeah, nah. Kind of like a bear. I hibernate during the winter. So.
Gotcha. Since the last time we talked, you've had a couple fights fall out. You're trying to find anybody at 3 different weight classes and can't seem to narrow down a fight. How's that been like going? Just staying in the gym to keep your mind off it, or how's that going?
Well, it's obviously frustrating. I try and stay active. I was injured for a little bit. They took my belt. I told them I just wanted to wait until the next show. They couldn't wait. They let someone else fight for my belt. Now that guy's injured, so I'm ready to fight for my belt again.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can find an opponent. So.
And that was for 135 WXC, correct?
Yep. 135's WXC belt. And if I can get on the lights out card, that'll be good too. The next one for that's supposed to be in September, and someone's calling me.
We'll
Sorry,
cut
guys.
that. So what's been your focus in training then? Like, I mean, it's hard to.
Let me answer this.
So with all these, the fights being canceled and everything, what's training camp been like for you? Like, how do you maintain focus?
Well, I've just been staying consistent. That's one of my main things. Is even though I was injured, I was still in here every day, and I was working on my weaknesses. Everyone knows that I'm the best wrestler around, so I just got to shape up the striking a little bit and learn how to keep it on the feet. So.
Well, there's enough guys in this gym to help you with that, right? I mean, obviously Coach James comes from striking background. We got Dean Caldwell and Justin Street and all those guys. So you've been working closely with them to improve your striking?
Yeah, we're not called Stars and Strikes for no reason. Right. We definitely got a lot of strikers. When I came into the gym, that's one thing that I definitely noticed, that everyone was really good at hitting hard. But I tried to take everyone down, and I feel like I've helped a lot of people too. Not just them helping me. I feel like I've helped a lot of the guys like Joel and Justin Street and Sean Tarleton. I feel like I've helped a lot of my closer sparring partners, get better with the wrestling defense and stuff. So
now, you wrestled all 4 years of high school, and I'm assuming a little more, right?
Yeah, all 4 years of high school and 2 years of middle school.
Okay.
I made it to regionals my junior year and then states my senior year. I didn't win any matches at states, but I did my damnedest. So.
Yeah. So I mean, you take that wrestling background with you into that cage every time, right? Is that your main focus? Is the ground game?
Yeah, I feel like that's where I got my most of my drive. Like I said, I made it to states, and then I didn't win any of my matches, so I still got a lot of fire coming from that. You know, it really pisses me off that I didn't win those matches. So every time I get in the cage, I definitely take that out on them and make sure I get a couple good slams in.
Yeah, it gives you fuel for the fight, right? Remember all those tough losses back in high school.
Exactly, yeah, and having all those experiences, I was really good, but I wasn't the best, that's for sure. So I definitely took my losses there, and I try and keep it that way. I definitely don't want to take no more losses in MMA. So.
But do you think, going through those struggles have prepared you for a tough road in MMA? Because there's not a lot of undefeated MMA fighters, right? So, I mean, you can't be afraid to lose. So having tasted defeat before, that's got to help, Well,
especially in the amateurs. So in the amateurs, that's where you're supposed to test stuff out. And I feel like if I didn't have that big wrestling experience, I wouldn't have been able to jump out and test myself and really sacrifice that if I needed to.
Yeah.
So like I said, in that last fight, I was supposed to defend my belt at 135, and they called me the week of, saying that the guy wasn't going to make weight. And I kind of knew that the guy wasn't going to make weight, but I was going to try and prove a point. I was going to make sure that I was on weight, if not a couple pounds less. And that ended up kind of screwing me over, I feel like, because if I had prepared for the 145, like I knew he wasn't going to make the 135, if I would have just prepared for the 145, then I would have had a much better chance. But I ended up fighting him for the 145 belt, and it didn't go my way, but
Yeah.
it's still a big experience, and I get to know that when I take a loss, I don't take it like a poor sport. You
Right.
know, in wrestling, there was a couple times where I did, freak out and definitely make a fool of myself. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm a lot more humble, and I took that loss like a real champ, and I'm still the champ in my eyes.
Yeah,
So
and ready to get back into it, right?
exactly.
You know, a lot of people that don't follow fighting and have never fought, they don't really realize how much a couple extra pounds in that cage makes the world different. Can I talk
Yep.
about that? Like what your mindset was going to that fight, knowing this guy was like 10, 15 pounds heavier than you in the cage?
It was really crazy. I knew he was bigger. I saw pictures, and when I saw him in person, it was a whole different person. It had been, the pictures that I saw were a couple years earlier. So if I would have saw him recently, I would have known for sure there was no way he was gonna make weight. He was like 6'3", and it looked like he didn't even try and cut that much to make 145.
Oh, so he was a lot taller than you also then.
Yeah. So I was definitely at a disadvantage, some people would say, but I like being in that position. I felt like I was in the underdog role, even though I was the champ, and that's how I like to be.
Is that a fight you'd like to get back at some point in your career?
Definitely. That's the fight I want the most.
Okay.
Obviously, I want to make it. I want to get it back. There's, if I can beat him, then I can say that I've never been beaten by anybody that
Right.
I haven't beaten. So.
Are you prepared to take that fight at 45?
Oh yeah. That's what I've been asking for it. I messaged him on Facebook. He blocked me and stuff. I've hit up the promoter. I guess he's not even responding to him. He was supposed to fight one of my buddies. He wouldn't even fight him.
Okay.
So the guy, it sounds like he's retired. So I've kind of gave up on that fight. I was supposed to do another rematch with a guy that I did beat, Ethan York, for my belt because, like I said, they took my belt and let him fight for it. But he's injured now, so now I'm looking for another opponent at 135. I would prefer to fight at 125. That's where I'm supposed to be fighting.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about. You said that's where you feel more comfortable, right? Is that where you wrestled at in high school, around that weight? Or?
Yeah, that's exactly. I wrestled at 125 and 130, so I jumped between those, and that's when I made 125, it was a pretty hard weight cut. So I don't know why everyone's so scared. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty big, but also it leaves me a little bit drained. So
Right.
it definitely gives people opportunity. So if you guys want to stop being scared.
Yeah. So, but trying to make weight for all three of these different weight classes, I mean, or just taking a fight, you got to be ready at all times. So are you just constantly in the gym, just working hard?
Yeah. So I'm definitely up here every week, at least 4 or 5 times a week. If I'm not training myself, I'm training with someone else, helping with PTs. I have 2 little nephews that I try and keep up with. I'm trying to get them into wrestling and stuff.
Okay.
So just chasing them around and trying to keep up with them definitely keeps me lively.
So, I mean, MMA takes up a lot of your time. What do you do for work?
So right now I'm doing mold remediation, and I do roofing with my stepdad.
Roofing, yeah.
Yeah, I've done roofing since I was 12.
Okay.
That's probably why I'm so strong and able to carry people the way I am.
Yeah.
So.
So, got like a blue collar lifestyle. You fight like a blue collar fighter, it sounds like. Do you take that mentality into the cage with you every time? Just go in there, work hard, and grind it out?
Definitely. That's exactly what I try and do. Work hard, grind it out, get in there. No one the day of really wants to get in there, it seems like. A lot of people get the butterflies right before. But that's one thing that I really thrive on. I feel like once I'm in there, like you said, I grind it out and I make sure I make it count. It's I would hate to get in the cage and waste any amount of time. So
do you feel like your conditioning is something you can rely on?
Oh, definitely. They call me cardio king around here. There ain't no one that can keep up with the cardio. If you have me for real street fight, it's a long day for you. I can go all day.
Yeah. Do you attribute that to your wrestling background?
Yeah. Not just that, but like I said, roofing. we get there at like 7 o'clock and start the job, and we go until like 7 or 8. So
Yeah.
it's an all day thing, and if I can keep up my cardio on the roof, what do you think I can do in the cage?
Right. Yeah. So, there's a saying, around fighting. It's just, on fight night, the work's done. This is the fun part.
Yep.
Do you have fun in there when you're?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, the day of, some people, they don't have as much fun, but to be honest, I have the most fun the day of. Couple, like a week out or so, that's when I get a little bit of nerves, but the day of, that's always the best for me. It's I'm ready to have fun and just get in the cage. Really, that's the part that eats at me the most, is I'm just ready to get in there and really take that guy's head off, or really show my skills is the main thing. Is I'm really I like to show off what all these guys have taught me around here.
Yeah.
I got Derek Mandel. He's really been helping train me for the past half a year or so, and obviously James has helped me since I came here.
Yeah.
Joel, he trains with me a lot, and
That's
Sean Tarleton.
Joel Harkey, right?
Yeah, Joel Harkey and Sean Tarleton. They're both big parts of my training. So I like to show off the things that they've shown me, and also my wrestling from Wayne Memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta really rep for Waynos.
Yeah. You talked about how like wrestling is your background. That's kind of where most of your fights go, is to the ground.
Yep.
The first picture I ever saw of you is like you're doing like a spinning heel kick on some guy. You know what I mean? So like, is that just the different training that you've gotten here at Stars and Strikes? Working with guys, like trying out different things.
Well, so I feel like that's actually one of my specialties. That's something that I work on the most. It's I watch a lot of the Bruce Lee movies and
Okay.
a lot of the ninja, like the Transporter and stuff like that. So I like just pulling off cool stuff, and sometimes I pull it off in sparring, and then I'm like, let me practice that on a bag. And that kick that you're talking about, I practiced that on the bag a bunch, and one of my buddies, Sean Tarleton, actually said, he was like, I bet you $100 you won't land that in a fight.
Yeah.
And the very next fight, that's when I landed it. So
That's where
it
that
was
picture
just
comes
it was just a really good move that I picked up in sparring and practiced over and over again, and it ended up working out in the fight perfect. It just naturally happened. It wasn't like I tried to set it up. It was, I had the guy's back, he tossed me over, and I was like, he's coming at me, let me throw it up.
Just kind of a spur of the moment. That's how things
Exactly.
happen in the cage or the
Yep.
ring or anything like that. Kind of just spur of the moment things. You
Especially
see it,
for me,
and-
that's the way that I fight best, is just off my instincts and stuff that I've trained over and over again and letting it flow.
Well, when you train consistently like you have, things just are like that, based off instinct. You don't have time to think in there sometimes. So obviously you've picked up that trait here. Well, you touched a little bit on Bruce Lee and watching those movies. Is that what kind of through your wrestling days, did you ever think that you were going to become an MMA fighter, or was it kind of a spur of the moment thing like we've talked about?
No, to be honest, I went to MSU. I planned on being like a businessman and stuff like that, but things change. I started watching MMA more and more, and I saw like Khabib and Conor and fights like that, and to be honest, I just didn't want to let my wrestling go to waste.
Go to waste, yeah.
To be honest, my first time training at Stars and Strikes was for wrestling. There's this thing called the Fury program for John Glenn.
Yeah.
But they do it for all different high schools. So I got lucky. I was kind of poor growing up. My coaches, though, helped me out. They raised some money so that I could come to the Fury program. And I came here and trained. They do it out of Stars and Strikes. That's actually, they were going on before the interviews today. And I came up here and trained, and I used to think like, I could take down any of these MMA fighters and pretty much wrestle them if I needed to. So I never really thought that I was going to end up being an MMA fighter. I thought that it wasn't really necessary. I thought wrestling could really do it all. But when I first started coming up here, I definitely found out that's not the truth.
Right.
I took a lot of head kicks, and
I was gonna say,
it took me a while to get used to the difference. Because, so in a lot of MMA, you don't have to try as hard as wrestling. Like, a lot of wrestling, you get booed for stalling and stuff like that. In jiu-jitsu and MMA, it's almost, it's almost welcomed to and encouraged to stall sometimes. So I try and stay away from that. I
Right.
try and stick to the, wrestling, like just grind, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like enforce your will on them, right?
yeah, exactly, and never stop. It's boring. Wrestling can be boring if you're just laying and praying, but
Right.
that's not what I try and do. I try and get the slam in and ground and pound you and get you out of there.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, have you worked like with jiu-jitsu coaches at all? Like, are you working in submissions now and stuff like that?
yeah, so I actually have a blue belt.
Oh, very cool.
I've got 2 subs in MMA. Guillotine is my choice move.
Yeah.
Usually I try and force people to shoot, and then I get that guillotine on them. But yeah, I definitely worked on jiu-jitsu. I'm like 50 and 5. My bad, I almost lied. But I'm 50 and 5. I've done absolutes. I've won gold in most tournaments except for the absolute. I've won a bronze in absolute, which I don't know if anybody knows, but the absolute is any weight class, any belt. So I was taking on like purple belts that were like 300 pounds. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's like 3 of my losses. I've only lost to like 1 guy at my weight class.
Okay. Very
So-
cool. So I mean, you've really jumped into the MMA like head first, right? You said you were working on your striking, trying to improve your ground game with the jiu-jitsu. So I mean, you're really focused on just becoming the best fighter you can be.
Exactly. And like you said, that it's mostly from the wrestling, being open and seeing where I made some mistakes in wrestling and
Yeah.
wasn't really open to different types of training. So I really opened up, and I'm ready to try anything that'll help me win.
Yeah. So you have a fight scheduled in July. You don't have an opponent yet.
Yep.
But yeah, where will that fight take place?
That one's supposed to be at the Crystal Gardens in Southgate.
Okay. I
So
heard
closer
this-
to home than I've ever fought.
I heard it's a really cool venue too. A lot of guys, I've never been there, but I've heard a lot of guys I've interviewed that fought there said it's really nice there.
I've been there. It's one of the nicest venues. I hear Clip is the best, but Crystal Gardens is my favorite that I've been to.
And that's July what?
July 19th it's supposed to
Okay.
be.
Well, hopefully they find you an opponent. I'm sure everyone that's watching wants to see you fight. So, hopefully they'll get you somebody. Before we wrap things up, you got any socials you want to shout out? Anybody that training partners that you want to give credit to? Anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Derek Mandel, I'm pretty sure that's his hold on Instagram, and then Stars and Strikes MMA, and
What about yourself?
my Instagram is _ Nick Daniels, and yeah, I can't really think of their
No, that's cool.
their names, but the Primate Jewel. So that's Joel Harkey. I know
Okay.
that's his Instagram. But yeah, no, I'm not good with
No, you're
knowing
good,
the
man.
Instagram names.
Well, hopefully you get that opponent on July 19th, and we'll definitely be talking. If and when that happens. Thanks for joining us today, man. Appreciate
Yep.
you coming out.
Thank you.
That does it for this episode of Stars and Strikes. Oh my God, Marco, cut that. That does it for this episode of Jab Journals. We'll see you on the next one.